Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Talks by Hybrid. I'm your host, Demetris Stefani, and together we're exploring the future of brand, business, and marketing. Today, I have with me Harry from Algomo. Harry, welcome.
Nice to you, Dimitris.
And we're going to discuss something very interesting. We're at the intersection of a lot of changes through AI, and Harry's doing something very interesting with his team. They have developed a new software that addresses the segment of one, if I may say, but Harry will tell us more about it. Harry, first of all, welcome to the talks. Could you tell me a little bit about your background, how it all started, and then how it led to Algomo?
Yes, of course. So I'm an engineer by training and trading. So I completed my studies in Greece as electrical engineer, and then I moved to the UK to study AI. Way before AI was cool. So after I was in my first job, I was trying to look for AI jobs, and there was none.
So you created one.
I created one, after 10 years actually, after I started working. I always want to create one. But, it all flew very naturally for me. So initially I used to work at a startup that was doing fine enough AI agents, but were doing it for consumer behavior. And this company was eventually sold back to the marketing agency. Then I moved to Barclays, where I was a vice president of data science for around 2.5 years. After that, I moved to HSBC, where I built the bank's global chatbot framework. And this actually was the original idea that brought me to Algomo. So right now we're doing AI personalization. But 4 years ago, 5 years ago when we started, we were working with customer service. And this is actually a
Okay.
continuation of the work I was doing at HSBC, where I identified that the problem for multilinguality was very big for big organizations. And the way they were tackling it was to create separate chatbots for every language. And back then, we had the first version of Transformers, which is what's powering GPTs right now. Yeah, so I created the first properly multilingual chatbot back then, where when you train one language, it can understand multiple languages. But of course, things have changed, have moved. We pivoted to AI personalization this last September, actually. Yeah, and here we are. So this is my brief journey of as entrepreneur right now.
Wow, sounds really interesting, especially coming from a background of engineering, moving to finance, and then towards the consumer side of things, but mostly into understanding what consumers want and serving it to them in a meaningful way. So, what is the North Star for Algomo? Where are you heading as a company? What would it be for you to say we are moving towards the direction of growth and establishing our unique selling proposition?
Well, there are two or three ways I could answer this question. One is from the product side and what excites me as an entrepreneur, and the other thing is from the business side of how I want to grow. We definitely have international desires, and we want to expand and become actually a unicorn. We don't want to create a lifestyle business, if this is one leg of the question. For me, the North Star is actually to build something that people want, and we want to solve a problem that we have realized that it exists. We're always very interested in AI. And a very important aspect, maybe it's too risky for us, is to the way we think about it is go big or go home. So when we
Mm.
put it last year, we're kind of sustainable with the customer service product we had, but it was not ambitious enough. There was so much competition, and the market was crowded. And we said, look, yes, we can keep and we can have a lifestyle business, profitable one, but this is not enough. We should risk things. We should try to make big bets and make some good assumptions about how AI would move and place the
Mm.
company in a trajectory that instead of being threatened by the commoditization of AI models, it would be benefited by it. So that's why we position ourselves in something very risky. To be honest, it's not working perfectly right now. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
We know that, as AI will become faster, cheaper, and more reliable, will be at the forefront of the market that we're operating in. So, yeah, this is North Star. make something that will be long-term defensible, ambitious, and exciting. As you know, entrepreneurs, we're not here for either the money or the comfort. We're here to challenge things, to take bets, and yeah, maybe this is that's the answer to the question, I guess.
Yeah, well, you said the key question, the key sorry, you said the key word for my next question, because I always like to understand the intrinsic motivation of a founder, of an entrepreneur, and usually it comes from either struggle or through the right signals or stimuli someone had in their childhood to move towards being a founder or an entrepreneur. So, what was it for you? What led you towards being a creator?
I'd say I always liked a good challenge. I was easily getting a bit bored with my previous jobs when we were doing business as usual. Not that I was lucky enough that my previous jobs were not doing fully on business as usual, but I would like to build some stuff that were faster, quicker pace, and something a bit more impactful. There's some existential aspects of it, I guess. So sometimes I'm thinking like, okay, when I grow old and I look back, what would I be thinking about how I spend my productive years?
Hmm.
And yeah, it's an interesting way of thinking about it. So it's not I'm thinking about what I want right now, but how I would feel in the future about it. And I'm like, look, yeah, maybe money would be a good kind of target to have, and you can easily get it by working at a corporate job. But if you look back, maybe you're not feeling that you have accomplished something here. So yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to become, for example, a scientist.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I did not become. I don't think I have what it takes to become a scientist. But
Uh,
life threw me, let's say, to AI, data science, and I think I could become a builder. So this is what drives me: a good challenge, impact, and fun. Actually, yeah, like you have to have fun. You have to enjoy what you're working on. It has to excite you. If you have to work long hours and you have to get to the grind, you must enjoy it. Otherwise, it will be it will be
yeah.
that's more or less it, I guess. It's also the fact that AI always excited me. I always remembered myself thinking about the future of humanity,
Hmm.
and all my jobs had something to do with AI. I was always pursuing to get within AI. So this is what drives me. So there's like a bit of
Okay.
existential for me and something about giving back and about contributing to society in general. I hope
Yeah.
this doesn't sound too cheesy, but
It is not,
there
but
is a
yeah.
drive behind that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. I always remember my first steps in digital marketing where chatbots were just starting up and they were the hype. So everyone was setting up a chatbot for lead generation, for messaging ads, for engaging with their audience. And now we're moving into a faster and different direction because we're not sure where it's heading. Back then we knew it's something new, you try it out, you get the hype of it, and then there is another cycle of something new. Now, and moving into the product, moving into Algomo, we're talking about personalized web at scale.
Mhm.
Is this the case?
This is we have it. It's not working perfectly. Let me explain a bit how we got here and
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
got us to this particular direction. So we had our chatbot initially for customer service, and we realized that many of our customers actually were setting up the bot in such a way that will be addressing lead qualification and conversion conversations, and which was kind of an epiphany for us. We thought that our customers cared mostly about reducing costs, but many of them want to have the chatbots so that they could increase sales. I said, look, if we do that, we might do it like focus on that 100%. So the initial version of when we initially pivoted, it was only the chatbot that would be personalized in conversations. Us being naive back at that point, we said, okay, what is personalization? It's about a particular person or individual. How can we do it? Yeah, if we know someone's profile through their email, for example, we can reach the conversation and have a much more targeted conversation and engaging conversation. And then, we actually thought, okay, if we can do it through chat, why don't we do it also with the website itself? Why can't you just go ahead and find the actual website elements that we could adapt so they would resonate more with the prospect? And that's what we've done. So this is right now happening. Whenever, for example, someone comes from an email campaign and we have this person clicks on a link and they land our website, we dynamically fetch all the information from B2B databases, and we can adapt the information on the website so it will resonate mostly with them. It's not working perfectly in the sense that latency is a bit of a problem right now. It takes us around 2 to 4 seconds. It used to take us 2 to 4 seconds. Right now, I've got it around 1.5 seconds. So right now, what we're doing is we are optimizing for the we call it progressive personalization. We take their email, we look it up in the databases, we fetch all the data, we ask the AI what is the most relevant thing we should be changing on the copy, and the AI does that and renders that. So that has to happen almost instantaneously. So what we're doing these days is we're doing a more of a hybrid approach. We call it progressive personalization, which is that instead of trying to personalize the website from the original text directly to the person, to the individual, we have an intermediate layer. We say, look, once we know that this particular role from this industry comes, we'll find the most appropriate pre-generated page. This is something that everybody else does somehow these days anyway, and then we'll personalize on top of that. So for example,
Okay.
if you come to the website, we're working for digital marketing, we will serve the digital marketing specific copy initially. So it will be already optimized for your industry. And then we're doing, let's say, the person level personalization for you. Yeah. So
Okay.
this is the progressive personalization. And that way it's much more steerable, and also we can reduce latency because we only personalize some specific elements. Yeah. So it's much more, yeah, with one stone we get two birds. First of all, we reduce latency and we make it a bit more steerable as well.
Okay. I'm gonna act as the devil's advocate right now,
Yeah.
talking from the brand side of things, because both in B2B and B2C, in order to achieve greater conversion, you need to have a solution to a pain point, and at the same time, be able to position it in a way that is distinctively differentiated from everyone else in the category. So you either own the category or disrupt the category with your positioning. So I'm thinking right now,
Yeah.
how consistent can a brand be through this type of personalization? And will there be a layer of adaptability based on the brand guidelines?
Yes, 100%. Yes. So this is actually, that's a very good point. The way we're personalized is not a black box. When somebody signs up to the platform, we ask them to provide all their brand materials, their LinkedIn profile, their company's website, any marketing PDFs, whatever they might want to do. So we have a good understanding about the brand, the USP, the positioning, their ICP, and so forth. And on top of that, we also have, when we're talking about the progressive personalization, we'll have dedicated landing pages. The user has full control of exactly the tone and the style of the personalization. So again, we're not starting from the original website. We're starting from an immediate layer which is already personalized for an industry or for a use case, and then we're doing it on top. So you have full control about on the tone, on the style, and the brand guidelines. When it comes to person level and real time, of course, you cannot guarantee that it will be perfect because it's the AI that decides on the spot what the response would be, and that's the case with any AI generated content that is not verified by a human. Yeah. So if you think about chatbots, the same thing can apply. But when we provide the segment level personalization, then of course the human has full control over the experience. They can iterate over the copy and they can say, look, I'm happy with that, save that. And this is the baseline that the personal level personalization will work on.
So to take it as an example, I'm a founder. I land into a page for a software as a service. The content, the copy is personalized based on my preferences and categorization. So
Yes.
it understands I'm from Cyprus. It knows I'm a small boutique agency consultancy with 5 to 10 people. It knows our average, let's say, revenue. And then I interact with this page.
Yes.
Is there any feedback loop happening, going on in this situation?
So if it's the first visit, no, because the only information we have about you is, the information we can fetch from the B2B databases. But we also consider how visitors and customers are behaving and how they're actually moving through the funnel. So for example, if you're a repeat visitor, the chatbot, for example, in this case, will know that you're a repeat visitor, so will give you not the generic top of the funnel type of content, but more middle of the funnel content that will give you more specific use cases because you know that you're already aware about. And when it comes to the website personalization, again, it might give you some terms that are more relevant to you specifically because we have more information about you. Now, something I have not touched upon, which is very important, is how to know who the visitor is.
Yeah.
And this is the whole crux of personalization. So the 100% let's call it sure way, confident way that we know who the visitor is when we bake it within an email campaign. So as I said,
Okay.
send an email to you. There's a particular link about your brand. You click on that. Of course, I know everything about you, so you can personalize it. When it comes to inbound traffic, so these are anonymous website visitors. We have to have a way to identify who the visitor is, and for that reason, we're currently assessing 10 different website de-anonymization providers. And we're trying to find the best one so that we can say, look, for all the traffic we get, we know that, this is Demetris, this is John, and I know that John works in this particular company and will personalize the website as such. The problem we've seen with all these de-anonymization companies is their precision. So they will
Hmm.
claim that they can de-anonymize, I don't know, 80, 90% of the traffic, but the best we've seen so far is 20%. So 20% of those that anonymize is actually correct. So it's even lower than that.
Mhm.
Which means that the chances of being able to personalize it for a particular individual are even thinner. So yeah, if it's about the actual individual, the best way for us is email marketing. But obviously, as you know, response rates and open rates in email marketing have plummeted these days.
Yeah.
That's why
Because everyone is an outbound machine.
Exactly. Actually, it's an ethical thing for us about outbound. We were considering at some point to 2 years ago actually to build an AI SDR like the ones
Mhm.
that flood the market right now, and we actually built one. But we somehow force have this could burn completely the channel. So the more AI SDRs are out there, the more emails they're sent. The more emails they're sent means that the less receptive the actual leads would be, and the less value the companies would get. So you complete, I would call it that's a tragedy of the commons. You have this
Hmm.
in marketing, nobody gets responses anymore, and what ends up happening is that it becomes a volumes game, and I don't think it's something useful for everyone. So
Yeah.
we wanted to do it for inbound right now. When it comes to inbound, we know that we have the intent. It's not too invasive, and it's actually helpful if you think about it because it cuts through the noise.
Of course. Of course.
And the other thing we're building these days as well, which we have, is we can personalize based on the source. So, for example, if someone comes from an ad, we know that you came from this ad has particular keywords. So, the chatbot that we have that's also personalizing the experience knows that you came for this particular reason. So, it will start the conversation with the exact, keywords slash intent that drove you to the website when it comes to ads, and also do the same from blogs or any other referred traffic. So, for example, if you come from a blog that talks about, I don't know, the best marketing agency in Cyprus, we know that somebody is already considering. So the chat will talk about, what is your differentiator compared to other agencies in
Mhm.
Cyprus, and the website copy will be addressing that particular thing as well.
Okay.
So it's a mix of
Okay.
intent and also the person. That's how we think about
Very interesting. So as I understand, your ICP right now is either high ticket B2B
it. Yes.
or maybe a marketplace. Could you see it working for a marketplace that already has the data of their audience and wants to either increase frequency or retention or cross selling towards other verticals of the marketplace?
We could, but there's so many other platforms that do it for marketplaces and e-commerce platforms. And in this case, it becomes more about personalization becomes more of a question of how good can you become in terms of product or service recommendation versus
Hmm.
generating copy specific for the particular individual. So yeah, for us, it's more about B2Bs or high ticket B2Cs, that it's not about recommending the right product or service, but it's more about creating a different variant of a particular website that will resonate with a particular persona, let's say, at the minimum.
Okay.
Obviously, also with a person. To be honest, we are still experimenting with who our ICP is. We have seen, I will call it traction because it's
Hmm.
paid, but we have paid customers across different verticals. But we're still trying to find out what would be the most repeatable and predictable channel and persona for us, so that we can double down on that. So we're still in exploratory phase. Yeah, maybe the best way to think about it is who our competitors are, and based on that, we will nail down the ICP. But
But
again,
this way is not that fun
it's
or
not fun.
that challenging.
It is a starting point though. Like if you are like you if you spray and pray, you're not gonna get anywhere. Maybe you'll
Yeah.
get very good kind of insights about the customers of the competitors. Actually, by the definition of the customers of competitors is who are the customers of our competitors' customers.
Yeah.
So that second level effect. So if we know, for example, that competitors, they have customers who sell to, let's say, the automotive industry or to the travel industry, maybe we should be focusing to this particular industry as well. So it's not about their customers, but the customers' customers as well. That
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a two-gear thing. I understand, because on the one side you need to gather the data and nurture the data in order to be able to identify what to serve in terms of content, and on the other side it's about building the right proposition in different ways at the granular level where it makes sense to the people who are gonna be served the data.
yes, as well. Yeah, yeah. We're still experimenting with this approach. What we found is that ICP is not something that it's you can define by technographics or firmographics, in the sense that if a company has more than 2 million revenue and so forth, these are more proxies. The question is like, can you find the companies that have this particular problem or need? So you have to identify
Mm.
the problem or need by other intent signals, for example. Are they hiring someone to solve personalization problem that they have in the company, for example, or if they're hiring marketing people. That's hiring is a good intent signal. If they're using particular technologies as well, what content do they produce? Do they care about personalization? So this is how we're thinking about it. Yeah. So it's not
Okay.
it's more of an art and a hack about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ICT rather than a particular methodology right now.
Yeah, yeah. So let's say in an ideal scenario, tools like Algomo could like do the heavy lifting of content strategist or copy and personalization. And I'm wondering, where does human fit in this equation? Do you think that AI will replace brand strategists or people working manually on content?
Well, I will say what everybody is saying. It's more of a synergy. Like the AI is more about automating the things that are already well known and mundane. So at the point that you have a playbook, at the point you have, let's say, some instructions that you can give, let's say, to some junior marketers, this is what AI can generate. When coming about the the brand guidelines and the actual content and the general branding, I think that's something that is, I mean, AI can help, but at the end of the day, the question is like, does this particular brand suit you as an entrepreneur and as a company? And you have to make this decision. So AI can actually help you with the ideation, can help you a bit with the experimentation. That's what we do. Actually, we think about
Hmm.
it. And scaling of that. But the root and like the core stuff, I think this will still remain human. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will end up becoming yet another generic brand, because AI will just convert to the
Replicate.
average. Yeah, will convert to everything else. And then you don't have a brand. You just have yet another X, whatever this X might be. So you still need, like, if you want to be to differentiate it, you want to be associated with something specific for you, you have to make the call. I think there's no way out of that. And that's a good thing, to be honest. Yeah,
Of
because
course.
otherwise, as I said, you will just become yet another, I don't know, marketing agency with no differentiation.
Yeah.
Especially for marketing agencies, this is not what you want.
Of course, of course, of course. Well, in our case, I think things are moving towards people will start paying for brain power instead of paying for people executing and punching hours for doing the work that is more task based, and that's what we were doing from the beginning of Hybrid. So right now it feels like more liberating that we're seeing things work better when people decide they need someone to use their brain for their brand or business. And still there is space, a lot of space for AI to make things faster and more efficient, because when you have a large language model working alongside, you can put those things that need more time and more analysis to the test, and double check and ensure that everything is aligned and correct. So yeah, so what's next for Algomo? What's your long game?
So the long game, I mean, I can be as ambitious as I want, but realistic right now, we want to cross some particular revenue milestones. But we also want, I mean, right now we're going back to the basics. We want to make. So far, we have been a sales-led company. Right now, we are changing the direction to become more of a product led. So we're changing, the experience. We're making the whole UI a bit more sexy. For us, the dream is dynamic and contextual UIs. We think that the UIs we have right now, they are. I'm not going to use the word stuck, but they are products of Web 2. If you think about it,
Mm.
we do believe that in the future, the way that humans will interact with technology will be contextual. This means
Yeah.
that you might not want to see all, definitely you don't want to have the same experience that everybody else does. But what I foresee is that the whole UI and the experience will be changing in real time so that you can focus on the one task that you have at hand, and everything else will be, will not be there. So you will have dynamic UIs, and the way to get there is through personalization. If I don't know who you are, if I don't know what is the problem you're trying to solve, I cannot actually provide that for you as an AI. So that's why we're starting from that right now. But the vision is that imagine that you have a contextual browser that, now that I'm Demetris, I have 2 kids, I am in Cyprus, I don't know what else. And imagine that whatever you see on each website will be rendered and will be very specific to you. All the other thing and nothing else will be, no, all the other clutter will just be gone. And imagine that you go into your bank and you will only see the things that it knows that are important for you, and will brand new browser. So this is the future I foresee that we will get. And it's not only the browser. I don't know what other interfaces will emerge. Like you can have wearables. Yeah, you can have. Right now, the big thing is conversation. Yeah, so you can actually have
Yeah.
conversational experience about stuff. I think the very important thing that's missing right now is context to
Mm.
make AI useful. What we end up having is that we're trying to provide as much context as possible to ChatGPT every time, and this is very repetitive. The idea is like if the AI is aware about you and what you're looking for, you can go beyond the actual chat and you can transform the whole experience for someone based on who that individual is. So this is the North Star. Going back to the original question that you asked me,
Yeah.
where we will be.
I would say it's futuristic enough and ambitious enough to be called a North Star,
It's just
especially
this is how the world will
will evolve.
will evolve. You see already AI agents that interact with the browser and they can actually accomplish some tasks for you. The problem here is the browser, that they have to interact with UIs that were not built for AI. They were built for humans that were interacting with this thing. But I foresee that the future will be completely different for us, for everyone.
Hmm. 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 Quite exciting, challenging, and sometimes scary times.
Maybe scary, but I think we have to embrace it. The question here is
Of
like, how do you
course.
ensure privacy? How do you make sure that your data belongs to you? And this is there to serve you rather than big multinational. Maybe this
Yeah.
multinational will be us, I don't know. But the idea is,
Yeah.
how do you make sure that the experience you get are secure? Maybe you will have, I don't know, like the LLMs running or whatever AI might be in the future running on your actual device, and no data is sent elsewhere, and you just have the experience just for you. Maybe that's how things will evolve.
So, like a decentralized LLM experience just for you to
Yes, yes,
ensure that you are protected from let's say, the big brother of George Orwell.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is how things will evolve inevitably at some point. Like you will have an LLM that knows everything about you, everything about your company. It will even know everything about the particular app that you interact with, and it will be running locally so that you can run also offline for you, and to make it so you can also interact with private data that you don't want to share. Yeah, I think it's inevitable that we'll end up having our own AI agents, maybe you can call them right now, our assistants that will know everything about us. The same way you have your mobile phone that everything is personal for you. Yeah, so you have this AI assistant that will be running locally in each device, and can help you solve any task or any problem that you have. Yeah, I think there will be a lot of more on the edge processing capabilities as well. Mainly because there are multiple also technological kind of drivers behind it. Like laptops, any handheld device will become stronger, so you can definitely host an LLM. We have better LLM models as well, or whatever AI models might be in the future. So yeah, I don't see any reason why not having them running locally in real
Yeah.
time just for you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Great talk, Harry. I want to thank you for your time. I know it's precious and for the insightful conversation. I wish you all the best personally and for Algomo. I'm sure you'll be making strides in the following months. And I wish you continue following the dream, the North Star towards disrupting personalization for the future of humanity, I will say.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I mean, I don't think to become scary. It's just, as I said, this is what we're doing is more of a segue of where we envisage
Yeah,
the future to be. Awesome. Great
cool.
chatting with you, Dimitris.
Cool.